Okay, chapter 104, which is Siman Kuf Daled, page 742, or in the English 743. So before we start, the halacha is the laws of Pesach. I first wanted to, we have just a little bit of a gap, a little bit of time. It's very important that we should learn the halacha is the laws of Chol HaMoed. Anyone know what Chol HaMoed is? Correct? Intermediary, that is correct. What is it? So, yeah, exactly the way it is what it is. That's exactly what it is. So I'll tell you a secret. Most people don't even know that their special halacha is connected to the days of Chol HaMoed. And I'll tell you even more so, even people that went through the entire yeshiva system, probably many don't know that there's halachas of what is allowed to be done on Chol HaMoed and what is not allowed to be done on Chol HaMoed. So it's true. We do see that some halachas are allowed to be done, but there's also some halachas that are not allowed to be done. So that's why it's very important to, thank you. That's why it's very important to learn these dinim, and we'll see exactly how to keep Chol HaMoed. Okay, so dinei Chol HaMoed, the laws of Chol HaMoed. Aleph, the first halacha, it's chapter 104.
What is it? 104?
Chapter 104, correct. Thank you. So Aleph, right away we start. Chol HaMoed also b'ktsas malachis umutar b'ktsason. Chol HaMoed is not just, oh, finally Yom Tov is over, you can do whatever you want. It's not exactly like that. Rather, we see that it's also b'ktsas malachis, it's forbidden to do certain malachis, umutar b'ktsason, and some malachis are permitted. So it's very important to note, right? Everyone thinks, oh, we run into Chol HaMoed, back to regular life. Not so simple. Some things yes, some things not. It depends. The Hainu, what does it mean that some things are allowed, some things are not allowed? Kol mashu l'tzerech achila Chol HaMoed oy liyom tov. Now we're going to enumerate what the general guidelines are. So whatever is for the purpose of food, so one should have enough food for Chol HaMoed or for Yom Tov, this is allowed. V'chein malacha b'davar ha'aved. Also, if something is going to be a loss, right? We'll get into specific examples a little bit later, but if you don't do this and this, you're going to lose. So something to prevent a loss is also permitted on Chol HaMoed. The Hainu, what does it mean? Davar Avid. Sh'im la'yasena yavili they have. So if you're not going to do this malacha, you're going to come to a loss. Mutar la'aseisa. This is also allowed to be done. It's tzrichim liyizaher ma'oid. We have to be very careful. Shalai la'ases b'Chol HaMoed malacha asur, not to do on Chol HaMoed malacha which is not permitted. Ki amru Rabbi Seinu zichrenu livracha. Yeah, the sages of blessed memory have said, "Hamachalos Chol HaMoed, one who desecrates the Chol HaMoed is ki'ilu eved avodah zara." It's as if the mamish served avodah zara. So you see, it's not such a simple thing. So again, whatever is for the purpose of food, whether it be for Chol HaMoed itself or preparing food or getting food, whatever it is for the purpose of Yom Tov, this is also allowed. And the other thing that we mentioned, so Chol HaMoed and for Yom Tov, food for either Chol HaMoed or for Yom Tov is allowed. It's okay. And the other thing that we mentioned is to do malacha to prevent a loss is also fine. This is very applicable to people who have businesses or they have let's say land, property, stuff like that, and there's an external factor that may cause a big loss, and this is very relevant to them, that they are allowed to do certain things which other people can't. in order to save themselves from a loss. Beis, the second halacha. Eid Amru Rabbi Senu Zichreinu Livracha. Further, the rabbis, the sages of blessed memory, have said, "Hamavazas Chol HaMoed," one who disgraces Chol HaMoed, Aval B'Yishesh B'Yad Torah Ma'asim Tovim Harbe. Even though somebody has a lot of Torah, they learned a lot, and they have a lot of Ma'asim Tovim, a lot of good deeds, Ein Leichelek Leilam Haba. They will not have a share in the world to come. So it's pretty serious. What does it mean, somebody who disgraces? Somebody who doesn't honor Chol HaMoed with food, meaning they don't have better food on it, and ksus, they don't dress in the appropriate dress. Therefore, every person has an obligation to honor Chol HaMoed according to their ability, and to wear nice clothing. So, what do we just mentioned? So, aside from the fact that some halachas are allowed, some halachas are not allowed, but we see over here in Siv Beis in halacha number 2. On top of that, there's something else. There's also a mitzvah lechabdei. There's also a mitzvah to honor Chol HaMoed, right? Just like we see by Shabbos and by Yom Tov, you wear special Shabbos clothing, special clothing for Yom Tov, right? It's the same idea when it comes to Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed is no different. One also has the mitzvah to honor Chol HaMoed. Gimel. Malacha is davar ha'aved. So to do malacha for something which is going to be, if you don't do it, it's going to cause a loss to you. Yachal says gamal yidei Yisrael acher. One can even ask another Jewish person to do it. So even though the Yid, it's not their personal loss, right? Person A asks person B. Person A is going to, if he doesn't do certain malachas, he's going to lose out, he's going to gain a loss. Person B, who's a Yid also, is not going to have any loss from it. Nevertheless, the halacha is that person A is allowed to ask person B to do it. Afilu b'sachar, even to pay person B, yeah?
So would someone be allowed to go into work?
Oh, very good question. Oh, we'll see. We'll see in a second. That's a very good question. Question was, are you allowed to go to work on Chol HaMoed? The answer is, like many other things, it depends. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, so person B, let's say person B is just a contractor, right? Let's say somebody's house started to flood, for example. The plumbing went off, meaning it was damaged, and now there's a tremendous leak. And if he doesn't deal with it, this is going to cause him a tremendous loss, right? So the loss is on the homeowner. But the homeowner, since it's a loss for him, there's going to be tremendous damages. He's allowed to call a professional, a plumber, to come and do the work for him on Chol HaMoed. And even if the plumber is a Jew, it's allowed. And he's even allowed to pay the plumber to do it on Chol HaMoed. Yeah, simple. So anything which is going to cause a loss, right? If something is leaking and the damage is just growing and growing and growing, for example, so you're allowed to get another Jew and you're allowed to pay them their wages on Chol HaMoed. But something which is not going to cause you a loss, but it's l'tzorech hamayid, it's for the purpose of Chol HaMoed, you need it for the actual Chol HaMoed. Ein lasses al yidei Yisrael acher b'sachar ela al yidei goy. So now we have a different category. There's another category of something which is l'tzorech hamayid, which is for the need of Chol HaMoed itself. What does that mean? Let's say your Shabbos table, for example, let's say broke. and you're not going to have a place to have your meals. So it's not a davar ha'avid, it's not causing you any losses by leaving the table broken, right? But to fix it is for the purpose of Mayed. It's for the purpose of the Yom type for Yom for Chol HaMoed. You have a place to eat your meals. So since this is not something which is causing a tremendous loss, so then the halacha is you should hire somebody. It should be a yid. It shouldn't be a Jew who does it. You can get it fixed. It's a Chol HaMoed, but it should be a non-Jew. What happens if you try to find out any contractor that can do the job, but simply nobody is available? So then, and you yourself are not a carpenter, not a handyman yourselves, whatever. It's over here in the context. Then, if absolutely nothing else, nobody else is available, then you're allowed to hire a Jewish worker. So this is actually a very, very practical thing and why. Not always are handymen available to come 1 to 3, right? You have to book an appointment, they come in a week, they come this and that. But a Jewish company is not going to be working on Chol HaMoed. So it could happen that it's much easier to hire somebody who's Jewish than to hire somebody who's not Jewish. So this could actually play out in Halacha L'Maaseh. In actuality, if, let's say you're living in Crown Heights, your table breaks. The first appointment you can get with a non-Jewish company is in a week from now. Nobody is available and you need it now. So then the halacha is, and if you yourself are not able to fix it, then you can hire a Jewish company and you can even pay them their wages. Now, like many other things, there's always there's details in each halacha. Dalid, the fourth halacha. This that we permit to do something which causes a loss, meaning to fix something which causes a loss, to do it on the malacha on Chol HaMoed. So this is specifically if you were not able to fix it before Yom Tov. But if you're able to fix it before Chol HaMoed, then you're not allowed to fix it. And I'll give you a very practical example. I believe it was a year ago, maybe a year and a half, whatever it is, somebody called with a shaila that went as follows, and I want you to answer the question. They live in an apartment, and the roof, the ceiling was getting a little bit, it was leaking. It was slowly, but there's no real damage, and it's not really a leak. It's just, if you don't take care of it, maybe something is going to happen, maybe down the road. But really, as of now, there's nothing, no problem. And it can continue being fine for the next few weeks also. So he's been pushing his landlord, can you please fix it? Can you please fix it? Can you please fix it? Finally, the landlord wakes up, so to speak, and says, oh, let me get you somebody during Chol HaMoed. What do you say? Are you allowed to do it or not?
No.
No, correct. Why not? Because you're able to do it before. Exactly. Because you're able to do it before.
What about the laundry?
Oh, we'll get there.
That's the most.
Yeah. So, but now let's flip the question. The same question. Let's add another detail, and let's analyze to see if the halacha is going to change. What happens if until now everything was fine, meaning the ceiling, the same scenario, the roof was fine. It just, I want it fixed. I want to live in a nice apartment. What happens if on Chol HaMoed it started leaking? Okay, then can you fix it? Yes. Why? Because the issue of the davar ha'avid, the damage began to happen on Chol HaMoed. So what's the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2? Scenario 1, the whole thing is just a matter of,
You just didn't feel like doing it.
yeah, correct. It's just something that there's really no loss. There's no, you can really continue living like that. There's absolutely no problem. You want to say it's Tzarech HaMoed, it's not really Tzarech HaMoed, but so there's really no grounds to permit it. But if it began to cause a loss, it started to leak, this can really damage your personal belongings and cause you serious losses, then you're allowed to do it. And who can I get? Can I get a Jewish contractor, or has to be a non-Jewish contractor?
Ideally non-Jewish, but that.
Oh, Adar I, we saw in the Halacha Gimel, in the third Halacha, can be done through a Jew. You could, but you don't have to. But if it's something which there is no loss, this is what I want to bring out. There's a big difference between something which is a loss and not a loss. If something is causing you a loss, you're allowed to go and ask a Jewish person to do it for you, and you're allowed to pay them. If there is no loss involved, it's just Tzarech HaMoed, it's just, you need it. Your table's broken, you need a table for Yom Tov, whatever it is, then no, then you have to ask a non-Jewish contractor. Only in the case where you can't find and you can't do it yourself, then you're allowed to hire a Jewish contractor, but you still have to look for somebody Jewish. So again, when there's a loss involved, you can get an actual Jewish contractor. If there's no loss involved, it's just for the purpose of the Tzarech HaMoed, for the purpose of Chol HaMoed and for Yom Tov, without a loss, then you should look for a non-Jewish contractor. In the case where you can't find, then it's permitted with a Jewish contractor. And what's the exception? The exception is if you were not able to do it beforehand, meaning the problem developed on Chol HaMoed itself. But if you're able to take care of it before and you just pushed it off for Chol HaMoed, then it's not allowed. Hey, the fifth halacha. Kol malachas asuras lases b'Chol HaMoed im yesh kan Yisrael she'en lehem halachal karoi l'Chol HaMoed v'Yom Tov muter la'ases al yodei. Why could she like malachal? Malachim yaseh b'tzina v'asla la'ases lehem goy achal tzerich mitzvah muter. All the malachas that are not allowed to be done by a Jewish person on Chol HaMoed, there's another exception to this rule. Let's say there's somebody who doesn't have enough parnasa to provide for their food, to provide for their family. Then it's allowed to be done on Chol HaMoed. But they shouldn't do it in a way where everyone knows, hey, look, I'm doing malach on Chol HaMoed. It should be done b'tzina, it should be done in an unnoticeable way that people don't know that you're doing malacha on Chol HaMoed. So here's a very practical example. We know that a sefer should not write on Chol HaMoed. Sefer meaning to write mezuzahs, tefillin, right? But what happens if he has no parnasa? He's struggling to make ends meet. So then he's allowed to do the work, whatever he needs to make it by. And the same is by anyone. It's not just by a sefer, but this applies to any other profession. Vav, the sixth halacha. Afilu malaches hamutares aser la'aseisa b'shvil goy. So the malaches, which are permitted to do, one should not do it for somebody who's not Jewish, and the reason is as follows. The Chachamim, the Torah gave us the mitzvah of Chol HaMoed. And the Torah gave the guidelines to be decided by the sages. So when they established the halachas of what's allowed to be done, what's not allowed to be done, we have to remember that Chol HaMoed is still for the purpose of resting. Right? It's still, you're resting, it's still Chol HaMoed. So even though something is permitted to do, because you need it, right? So it's still part of your rest. But to do it for somebody else, that's for you considered work. That's for you considered malacha. You're not fulfilling the purpose of Chol HaMoed. Therefore, it's only allowed to be done for yourselves and for other Yidden. Zion, the seventh halacha, also l'zabel sadeh, one is not allowed to fertilize the field. V'afilu lahachnish sham tzein b'shvil sheyasu sham zavel also. V'afilu yedei guy also. One also cannot bring in sheep into the field to fertilize it. And also, you cannot have a non-Jew fertilize your field. This is a malacha that we don't do on Chol HaMoed. So if anybody has a farm, I don't know how many people have farms today. There are, it exists. So this is one of the things that should not be done on Chol HaMoed. Ches, the eighth halacha. Zriya asura. Planting is also not allowed to be done on Chol HaMoed. Im yesh le'zrayim she'im le'yashke b'mayim yipost v'gamri mutal ashkaisam. But we're going back to the rule that we learned earlier. What happens if you have plants and you're not going to take care of them? You're going to lose them. We just read it inside, but you're allowed to. Same idea. Yeah, because it's over here. Which category does this fall into? We mentioned earlier a davar ha'avud, something which is going to be cause you a loss. You're allowed to take care of. Right, so something which, so obviously if you have a big field or even a small field, you have fruits, vegetables, whatever you have growing, if you're not going to take care of it, you're not going to water them, they're going to die. That's allowed because this is called a loss. Test the ninth halacha. Also, one may not pluck or to cut out anything which is connected to the ground. So if somebody has fruits and nothing's going to happen to them, if you leave them connected to the trees, to the ground, whatever it is, if it's vegetables, nothing's going to happen to them, then one is not allowed to collect them on Chol HaMoed. And the exception for that is for whatever you need to eat, right? We mentioned one of the things that are allowed on Chol HaMoed is food. So if it's done for the purpose of food, then you're allowed to do it on Chol HaMoed. If you're doing it for the purpose of food, you do not have to limit the amount that you are collecting. You can take as much as you want, and if you have extra left over, it is not a problem. Also, wood that one needs. Back then they had fireplaces, so on and so forth. Today, anyone have that?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you can have a bonfire, so on. Yeah. Not in New York City, but in other places you have it. Yeah, so also wood, which is needed for burning on Chol HaMoed, meaning it's for the purpose of Chol HaMoed, where you're allowed to cut them from whatever's connected to the ground. You're allowed to, yeah. If you need to get fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, for the purpose to feed your animals, it should be done with a shinoi. Right? So for yourself, for your family, you're allowed to take fruits, vegetables without any limitations. You can even take a large amount, and if you have extra, it's not a problem, as long as it's for the purpose of Chol HaMoed, to have food for the Moed. You can take it. For an animal, If you have animals they need to feed, it should be done with a shinoi, it should be done with a little bit, it should be done differently. Also, one is not allowed to gather wood from the field in order to make it easier to plow. But if you're doing it in a way that people will know that you're collecting the wood for your own needs, you're going to burn the wood, you're going to use it for Chol HaMoed. For example, you're taking the bigger pieces and you're leaving the smaller pieces, which that would indicate that you're actually doing something with the wood. You're not doing it for the purpose of plowing the field. Mutter, it's allowed. Also, liktitz and peha'ilan the one is not allowed to cut the branches of a tree in order to make it better. But if people can see that the reason for you that you're doing it is for a purpose, let's say, to feed to your animal, obviously the leaves, not the actual wood. Okay. Anyone have time to cut trees? Probably not. But in case you go somewhere where you'll need to do a Chol HaMoed, you'll know the halacha is that if you're doing it for yourself, or if you're doing it for the purpose of a bonfire, meaning to burn it, so on and so forth, it's allowed. But if you're doing it to make the tree grow better, it's not allowed. Yud, the 10th halacha. Somebody who has a garden, and your neighbor happens to be somebody who is not Jewish, and they also have a garden right beside your garden. And the non-Jew is gathering his fruit. If the Yisrael, the Jewish person, is not going to gather the fruit, what's going to happen? He's going to incur a loss. Then we're also allowed to collect the fruit. And so now we say, okay, you're allowed to collect your fruit. We don't want it to get ruined. It's going to cause you a loss. Fine, you can do it. What happens if we have to take it a step further? You can't just leave it regularly in the regular storage, but you actually have to do something to the fruits. Otherwise, they're going to spoil. They're going to go bad. You're allowed to do whatever you need to do, and even to go ahead and make wine so the grapes don't spoil. This is also allowed. Okay. Yud Aleph, also legaler b'Chol HaMoed. One is not allowed to cut their hair or to shave on Chol HaMoed. I feel the gilach has asked me gam be'erev, even if somebody took a haircut also before Erev Yom Tov. Ela mish yatsa mi beis ha'asur. There's one exception: somebody who came out of jail. What does that mean? That's a little bit extreme. So the background behind this halacha is that Chazal, the Chachamim, wanted people to enjoy Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed is a time to enjoy. It's a time to not do malacha. It's to be involved in the Yom Tov. It's a time to be involved in the Chol HaMoed, to learn Torah, to daven, to learn the halachas, and to learn about the Yom Tov itself, to teach your children, so on and so forth. It's not a time that should be used for malacha. It's not a time that should be used to do work. Now, Chazal instituted, there are some things that are permitted, but we're afraid, since it's permitted anyways, I'm going to push off all my work to Chol HaMoed. Then what's going to happen? You pushed everything off to Chol HaMoed, and now you completely missed the whole purpose of Chol HaMoed because you're going to be busy with doing your melacha. So therefore, Chazal, the Chachamim instituted that one has to take care of these things before Yom Tov comes in order that Yom Tov itself, Chol HaMoed itself, should be peaceful without one having to do malacha. So therefore, haircuts is one of these things. A haircut should be taken, first of all, there's a mitzvah to take a haircut, the covered Yom Tov, for the honor of Yom Tov, so it should be done before Yom Tov. Therefore, when it comes to Chol HaMoed, this is not going to be a burden of a malacha of work that you have to take care of. You should be free to enjoy Chol HaMoed. So now we'll understand why the exception is by somebody who was freed from jail, because he wasn't able to do it before. Since he wasn't able to do it before, he has no other choice. We allow him to do it on Chol HaMoed itself. Now, Erev Yom Tov, even if somebody was released on Erev Yom Tov, on the day right before Yom Tov, it's still allowed, even if somebody was released before Yom Tov came in. So technically they have some time to get a haircut, but if they didn't have time, they're still allowed to take a haircut on Yom Tov. Not on Yom Tov, on Chol HaMoed. Yud Beis, what about cutting your nails? Can anyone guess? It's a machlokes. There's two opinions. There's the Shittas HaMachaber, Shittas HaRamah. We'll see inside how we paskin. To cut one's nails is also not allowed. But there's a rule that we have over here that we don't have by haircuts. If you cut your nails before Yom Tov came in, you're allowed to cut your nails also on Chol HaMoed. Also, somebody who's doing a ritual immersion, the halacha is you have to cut your nails. So even though it's Chol HaMoed, you can still cut your nails. It's l'tzarech mitzvah. So we see there's a difference between a haircut and nails. Haircut, it makes no difference. You took a haircut before, you didn't take a haircut before. Comes Chol HaMoed, a haircut is never allowed. Unless somebody came to Beis HaSurim, somebody came from jail, they were just released. Nails, it depends. If you cut it before, you did your due diligence, you did it. But if it grew on Yom Tov, you're allowed to cut it again. Some Paiskim right, it's only on Erev Shabbos. If you cut every Erev Shabbos, so if Erev Shabbos fall in the middle of Chol HaMoed, you have Friday, you can also cut. So what?
Days that you're not allowed to cut the nails, right?
Yeah.
Like Wednesday, I don't know.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday, correct.
So with hair, it's not the same?
With hair, according to Alter Rebbe, it's not the same.
Differently?
Oh, yeah, it's a very good question. The Alter Rebbe writes it's different. Hair is different. You are allowed to. Because an Alter Rebbe brings a proof from a Jewish king would get a haircut every single day. So it shows you that the hair grows every single day and not just 3 days before. Nails only start growing 3 days after. So some people wanted to say it's the same thing with the hair. The Alter Rebbe brought a proof that the halacha is by a king, he gets a haircut every single day. How can he get a haircut every single day? And it means that the hair starts growing right away, and there's not this problem of, Oh, so what are we saying about nails? By nails, it's different. There's a difference. By nails, if you cut out of Yom Tov, you're allowed to cut on Chol HaMoed, but it should be done only if you do it every Friday. You can cut it on Friday, let's say the covered Shabbos. Oh, so what's the difference? What's the difference between nails and hair? The answer is the Chachamim made a gzeira by haircuts. The question is, do we view nails as the Mishnah is only talking about haircuts? When this halacha is originally brought to the Mishnayos, they're only referring to haircuts. So the question is, are nails included in this halacha, even though it's not hair, but it's the same principle, so you shouldn't be busy with other things on Chol HaMoed? Or do we look at it as nails? No, the Mishnah only says hair, and it does not include nails. So the answer is, that's what it depends on. And therefore, since we have room for both ways, so we make a middle ground that if you cut before Yom Tov came in, you can be lenient and cut on Chol HaMoed. It should be done on Friday if you cut every Erev Shabbos in honor of Shabbos. This was a question that was asked. What about doing laundry? This is a big thing. Gimel, also l'chavish shum davar. We want to read the rest of the halacha. Yeah, one is not allowed to launder anything. Afilu l'tzerech hamayed, even for the purpose of mayed. You're stuck. What do you do? The exception is if you're stuck and you're absolutely not able to do anything before out of Yom Tov, then you're allowed to do it on Chol HaMoed. Also, children's clothing, since they always get them dirty, you are allowed to wash it. So we have two exceptions. So the halacha is laundry is not allowed on Chol HaMoed. Exception number one is if you didn't have the opportunity absolutely to do laundry before Yom Tov, you're allowed to do it on Chol HaMoed. And the other exception is children's clothing, being that children always get themselves dirty. That's also okay because you'll never have enough for children. Yudalid. Kol davar shul l'tzerech refuah mutar lases, you're allowed to do it. Whatever is for the purpose of healing, to restore health, one is allowed to do on Chol HaMoed, bein la'adam, bein la'behema, whether to take care of a person or to take care of an animal, this is allowed. So are you allowed to make a checkup on Chol HaMoed by the doctor? Can you schedule it on Chol HaMoed? Yes. Whatever is for the purpose of restoring your health, meaning you shouldn't run to do a procedure if you don't need to, unless you need it for then. But a regular checkup, no problem at all to do it on Chol HaMoed. Tasvav, the 15th halacha, chashbenes v'chayetze b'hem, records, bills, stuff like that. She'im leyichtevem yishkachem muter lekaschom. Bills, records, stuff like that. Things that if you're not going to write it right now, you're going to forget. You're allowed to write it on Chol HaMoed. Why? What's the reasoning? It's considered something which is going to be lost. Right? If you're not going to remember, oh, this and this person owes me this and this, you're going to lose. You're going to lose out. So then you're allowed to write it down for your records, not to incur a loss from that. Same thing. Same. On the phone, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Also, something which is for the purpose of mayed, mutar lichtev, one is allowed to write. What's a very practical example of this? A shopping list. You need to make a shopping list for Yom Tov, for Chol HaMoed. You need to get food, groceries. You're allowed to write it down because that is considered l'tzerech hamayed, for the purpose of mayed. Shar davar also lichtei, but something else, one should not write on Chol HaMoed. You get a shleimim shekes adam l'chaveirei, a letter, social letters. Today there's no such thing. Today people use WhatsApp, but in the day where people send letters to each other, one should write it with a little bit of a difference. It shouldn't be written in the regular way. You should write the first line not straight. It should be a little bit crooked to show that you're doing it a little bit differently because it's Chol HaMoed.
What about if you want to listen to Shira or like say something?
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Whenever it is permitted to write, you're also allowed, back in the day, you have to prepare a quill with ink. So back in the day, you're allowed to do it. But this still applies today, true. Let's say you have nothing else except for an unsharpened pencil. That's the only way you have to write. So this would be the same halacha that you're allowed to sharpen your pencil. Again, if you have nothing else, today there's pens, whatever it is, but you can. It's the same thing. You're allowed to prepare the pencil to write with. Tazayin, the 16th halacha, Misha tzarech l'mayis, afilu shalem tzarech l'mayid. Whoever needs money, and it's not even for the purpose of Chol HaMoed, elash hu cheshesh and la'yimtza l'udveis l'achar mayid. They're just afraid that if they're not going to be able to borrow now, they're not going to have the opportunity to borrow later. You need to take a loan, and you need to take it now because you feel that if you're not going to do it now, you're not going to be able to do it after Chol HaMoed. But the person, the lender, is not ready to loan you money without a contract, just to have proof. You're allowed to prepare a contract, you're allowed to prepare a star on Chol HaMoed. With Zayin, the 17th halacha, Einais Nashim b'Chol HaMoed, one does not get married on Chol HaMoed. The reason is, Mishum de'ein ma'avin simcha b'simcha, we don't mix the simcha of Yom Tov and Chol HaMoed with the simcha of marriage. But one who separated, a couple that separated, they're allowed to remarry on Chol HaMoed. You're allowed to make a seuda, a meal for a bris, the pig and a ben. You're also allowed to make a l'chaim on Chol HaMoed. Let's just quickly finish up. We have just a few more halachas. Yudches, the 18th halacha. One is allowed to hire workers, even Jewish workers. They should do a job after Chol HaMoed, so the hiring itself is allowed to be done on Chol HaMoed. There's no problem to go outside of the tchum. There's on Shabbos and Yom Tov, there's a halacha of tchumim. You're not allowed to go past a certain amount, a certain distance, but on Chol HaMoed there is no problem. Chav, one who has a farm, so they don't allow the male cows and the female cows. They should not be together on Chol HaMoed because you can do it after Chol HaMoed. Chav Aleph, ein meshivin hatanagel salbeim legadol efreichem. One should not put a chicken on top of eggs to grow the chicks. If you put it before Chol HaMoed, the chicken, you put it on top of the eggs before Chol HaMoed, and the chicken ran away. If it's within 3 days from when the chicken ran away, you're allowed to put it back. Listen, there's some people, even in Crown Heights, that have chickens in the backyard. They have to know these halachas. If it was already after 3 days, also like zero, one cannot return it. Even if you're going to lose the eggs, okay, we will continue with Hashem next week.
Okay.